Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the huge opportunity Dungeons & Dragons has because of the death of two other major narrative mediums. All right, so I love Dungeons & Dragons so much. We certainly have issues when it comes to we have Candlekeep Mysteries coming out, and I just like my head just droops, and I'm like, oh, an adventure book. It means we lose 3 months of excitement for Dungeons & Dragons. I don't understand why they waste time on these adventure books, but they do. So, but we have issues in the D&D 5e community based on choices WotC is making. However, if you love Dungeons & Dragons, you best recognize right now, I really think everything's coming up aces for Dungeons & Dragons. There's a lot of stuff. So we got all of that great news that Dungeons & Dragons profits are going in the right direction. We don't really know any specifics, right? We don't really know how much money Dungeons & Dragons made out of the Wizards of the Coast, 800 million in revenue. We really don't know how much of that was Dungeons & Dragons. However, here's the kicker. So we know that Dungeons & Dragons is selling better and better. That's great. That's fantastic. Even though it's a niche market, that's really good, right? But then the other issue is, what about us getting a better slice of the pie of the narrative medium? Now, what is a narrative medium? It's what are mediums that carry stories, okay? The three biggest mediums that carry stories in the world right now, okay, is you got 1, movies, 2, and these aren't in order of size, books, okay, and 3, movies, books, and video games, okay? Guess what? Video games is growing like bonanza. Video games do carry story, okay? They're horrible at it, but they do have narratives in them, okay? In fact, they're by far the worst medium for narrative between books and movies. Video games are not even, like, they're a distant third, right? As far as the quality of a story that a video game can carry, it doesn't hold a candle to any even a moderate book or a moderate movie, okay? They're bad. But it does carry, let me not get conflicted here. Video games do carry narrative. They are a distinct narrative medium. Books are dying, all right? Imprint books are really going away fast. Now, don't worry, Dungeons & Dragons will be one of the last books in print. You know why? Because they saw it coming, and those books matter, right? You can get a ton of use out of them, and they're full color. And they've been full color for all of 5th edition, right? And actually, they've been full color all since 3rd. Actually, yeah, they've been Dungeons & Dragons has been full color every single page since 1999 in every core book. Okay, that's over 2 decades of treating print special, right? So that's great. And I think, honestly, they'll be printing Dungeons & Dragons books 100 years from now. No problem. The last books printed will be comic books, tabletop role-playing games, and sacred texts. That's it, okay? I'm telling you, right? Movies are dying fast, okay? Right now, it is an apocalypse at the movie theaters for what they're making. They spend $50, $100, $150 million to make a movie, and when they're releasing them, they're making between $2 and $12 million on opening weekend. Every movie studio in the world is taking a bath right now, okay? And when we come out of the pandemic, there's absolutely no, there's none. There's no strong indicators that movie theaters will survive. None, okay? I invite correction. If you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. All right. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, Scott, movies are just moving over to the small screen. Those aren't movies. A television movie, the word television movie, right? And I count streaming movies as synonymous. That is, if your movie never showed on a theater, it's a television movie. Television movies shrink to the size of the screen. And the shriveled narratives, the shriveled characters, the shriveled experience of a movie watched in your home. And I don't care if you have a big screen kit, if you have a big screen and you got surround sound. Who cares? What happens when you're interrupted by your phone? What happens when you're interrupted by your children? What happens when you're interrupted by your loved one? What happens when you're interrupted by your pet? Right? Theaters were special. They were just like books, one of the best narrative mediums ever created. Now, movies are dying, books are dying, video games are there. Boop! There you go. Here comes Dungeons and Dragons narrative. The value of you telling a compelling story at your table is going to go up because people can't get it from books anymore and they can't get it from movies anymore at the rate or at the potency they used to. Okay? And in addition to this, right, because that is happening, not only is the value of your table games narratives going to go up, but it is true also that the value of Dungeons and Dragons stories told in streaming television shows will go up because intellectual properties that have, 4 or 5 decades of content, there's going to be way more streamers around to pursue those stories, right? So basically, if you have an IP and it's been around for decades, it's a great time to be around because the streamers are going to battle over your content. They want known names. So everything is coming up aces. So the death of books and the death of movies is going to increase the value of your Dungeons and Dragons narrative story at your table, and it's going to increase the value of D&D narrative in the streaming shows that Dungeons and Dragons will create. Now, make no mistake, I weep that there will probably never be a big budget, really well received Dungeons and Dragons movie. I'm not sure that the movie that they're going to put out will what's it going to do? Be released in theaters that are 50% capacity. Woo! Right? But at least we have some thumbs up on the streaming side, and we have some thumbs up that the narrative stories we're telling at the table are incredibly special, incredibly unique, incredibly valuable, because 2 other incredibly important narrative meanings are dying. That's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.